After completing the introduction to microwave advantages and application, next section we have to learn about the cavity resonators. Now, before going directly to the cavity resonators, we just have to refresh about what is a waveguide and the modes in the waveguide. So basically what do you mean by waveguide is that it is a metallic tube, a hollow metallic tube of uniform cross section. Now this uniform cross section can assume any shape. It can be a rectangular cross section or it can be a circular cross section, etc. for transmitting of electromagnetic waves. How does this transmission occur is that by successive reflection from the inner walls of the tube. If this waveguide is being shorted at both the ends, we know that obviously a standing wave pattern is produced due to reflection. So they are just like the transmission lines which are used to guide the electromagnetic waves from point to point. You can have either a metal waveguide or a dielectric waveguide. An example of dielectric waveguide is your optical fiber. So whatever electromagnetic wave is propagating inside this waveguide, it will be subjected to reflection from the conducting walls. So you can have either a rectangular waveguide which has got a rectangular cross section, or a circular waveguide, a waveguide having a circular cross section. Just refresh what you mean by TEM, TE and TM waves. TEM, transverse electric and magnetic wave propagation. It means that a wave propagation in which the electric and the magnetic field both are transverse to the direction of propagation. For example, if we consider z-axis to represent the direction of propagation, then both Ez and Hz components will be 0. In case of transverse electric, what happens? Ez will be 0 but Hz will not be 0. Hz will be having value. In case of transverse magnetic, Hz will be 0 but Ez will not be 0. In all our analysis, we assume that the waveguide which we are considering, it is going to be a perfect waveguide. That is, the dielectric which is existing inside is the perfect dielectric. No power losses taking place in the dielectric, and also the walls are perfectly conducting. Usually, always in practical considerations, the waveguides will be having loss of power. But for our analysis, we neglect all these power losses which is occurring in the waveguide. Okay, then one thing what we have to understand that in our cavity resonator or in our waveguide, a TEM wave cannot exist because it is a single conductor geometry. As we have seen that we are having a hollow uniform cross section of waveguide, a single conductor geometry. So it cannot support simultaneously both a transverse electric and a transverse magnetic field. That is, we cannot have a TEM wave. Either we can have a TE wave or a TM wave. Then here we are having the representation TEMNP, TMMNP. Now what do these letters M, N and P indicate? M, which is an integer, represent the number of half-wave periodicity in the x direction. Again N, integer, represent the number of half-wave periodicity in y direction, and P, integers, represent the number of half-wave periodicity in the z direction. Coming to the topic resonator, we have already studied what is a lumped resonator consisting of discrete components like resistor, capacitor, inductor, etc., which were being used at lower frequencies. Basically, resonators are used for storing energy. Obviously, electric energy will be stored in capacitor and magnetic energy will be stored in inductor, and at resonance these energies will be equal. But what happens when we go to higher frequencies, say 100 megahertz or more, in the microwave frequency region, what happens? This lumped resonators cannot operate. So instead of that, we have to go to electromagnetic resonant cavities. We know that circuit dimensions are always comparable to the operating wavelength. So at very high frequency, the wavelength will be very small. So the dimensions has to be decreased. So there will be unwanted radiation. So to avoid it, we have to replace these discrete components with a electromagnetic resonant cavity. Microwave resonant cavity is actually similar to that of a tuned circuit at lower frequencies, having a resonant frequency F0 is equal to 1 by 2 pi root of LC. We are already familiar with the figure and this expression. Now, when we are going for higher and higher frequency, we have to replace this ordinary resonant circuit with the microwave resonant cavities. Applications of cavity resonators is stated in the last point of the slide. It can be used in microwave amplifiers, oscillators, duplexes of radars, etc. Circular cavity resonator find applications in microwave frequency meter. We have to learn all these microwave amplifiers and oscillators in detail in the upcoming sections. Now, coming to the operations of cavity resonators. Basically, when we are having a discrete resonator, we will be having one particular resonant frequency. But it is not the case with the microwave cavity resonator. When we are considering a waveguide and when we are going to terminate the waveguide, there will be what? Obviously, reflection and standing wave production. So when we are keeping a shorting plate at a distance or multiples of lambda g by 2, then the space formed will support a signal which is going to reflect back and forth between the shorting plates. So this shorting plate can be kept at multiples of lambda g by 2, say lambda g by 2, 2 lambda g by 2, 3 lambda g by 2. So if it is kept in such multiples, then the standing wave, the signal which is being reflecting back and forth, it is said to have a resonance effect. So this is going to result in resonance and the hollow space so formed is called as cavity and the resonator as cavity resonator. So this figure shows we are having two shorting plate and a standing wave pattern produced. Vmax and Vmin is shown in the figure. So again, if we are placing shorting plates at multiples of again lambda g by 2, again you can have more modes supporting. So unlike that of an ordinary resonator, this cavity resonator is going to support many modes and it is going to have many resonant frequency. So this is the difference. A cavity will be resonant at any frequency for which its length is a integral multiple of lambda g by 2. That is the main difference between the resonant cavity and the low frequency counterpart or the LC circuit. This difference is very important which you have to remember. So there is only one resonant frequency for a low frequency circuit, whereas for a microwave resonant cavity we are going to have many resonant frequencies. Now up to now we have assumed that we are not introduced any signal, we have not introduced any input to our waveguide. By simply the shorting plates, we have got many resonant modes. Now, if we want, we can also introduce the desired signal to the cavity by any type of coupling. So, primarily here shows the method of excitation for a rectangular resonator. That is by means of either probe coupling or loop coupling, we can introduce a desired signal into a cavity. That is, we are going to have a break in the enclosure of the waveguide. So first let us look at the straight wire probe which is inserted here. So that is a second figure. It shows a probe coupling. As we can see from the figure, in case of probe coupling, we are going to say this is actually a wire, straight wire, for example, extension from a coaxial cable. We are extending the center point of the coaxial wire of the coaxial cable, and we are inserting it into the waveguide at the position where the electric field intensity is going to be maximum. Okay, so the amount of coupling can be controlled by the amount of insertion of the probe. In order to avoid unwanted the reflections, we have to choose a proper length of the probe and the proper insertion of the probe into the waveguide. And most importantly, this coupling is done at the position of maximum electric field intensity. That is, here the probe field and the electric field lines, they are parallel to each other. Next type of coupling is the loop coupling. Loop coupling is basically magnetic in nature, so we have to place this loop antennas or the loop coupling at a position of a maximum magnetic field intensity. Okay, so here the coupling here is placed at the end point of a closed waveguide where we are having a maximum magnetic field intensity, and the magnetic flux lines should be perpendicular to that of the loop of the antenna, loop of the loop plane. So the loop plane should be normal or perpendicular to that of the flux lines, and it is placed in such a way that we are having at the position of a maximum magnetic intensity to launch a specific mode. In cavity resonator, we are having a metallic enclosure which is confining the electromagnetic energy. So there will be stored electric energy as well as magnetic energy, which is going to determine the equivalent inductance and capacitance. That is, unlike the discrete lumped resonators where we are having discrete capacitor, inductor, resistor, etc. In our cavity resonator, the energy, electric and magnetic energy, will represent the equivalent inductance and capacitance. Then the energy which is going to be dissipated by the cavity walls will determine the equivalent resistance. We are having different type of cavity resonators. Based on the shape, you can have uniform cross section can be either rectangular or circular. So we can have rectangular cavity resonator or circular cavity resonator. One more important type is a reentrant cavity resonator. Reentrant cavity resonator is the one in which the metallic boundaries of the cavity also extend into the interiors of the cavity. Now, forget for the time being about the reentrant cavity resonator. Reentrant cavity resonator will be detailed in the next section. So now, for the time being, we will be concentrating more on the rectangular cavity resonator, derivation of resonant frequency in a rectangular cavity resonator. Just we have to understand that there is another resonator also, circular cavity resonator. So the waveguide can be either rectangular or circular as shown. Circular cavity resonator is similar to that of the rectangular cavity resonator in such a way that the ends of the circular cavity is also being enclosed by a metal wall. Now the difference here is that we are having a movable top wall in such a way that it finds application in frequency meters. If we are having a movable top wall, we can have the mechanical tuning of resonant frequency. This cavity can be coupled to the waveguide by means of a small aperture. As you can see in the figure, the two ends can be shorted and we will be having a movable top plate which can be used in microwave frequency meters. That is, if we are having an unknown frequency input, we will be going on moving the movable top plate until the cavity is going to resonate at the incoming signal. So, it finds application in microwave frequency meter. So here we are having a cavity resonator which is constructed from circular waveguide with uniform cross section and with radius A. So our main field of interest is studying about the rectangular cavity resonator. We also have to derive the expression of resonant frequency for a rectangular cavity resonator. Now the given figure shows that A, B and D are the dimensions of the waveguide. We usually consider Z-axis to be the direction of propagation of electromagnetic wave. Electromagnetic wave is existing in such a way that it is obeying all the Maxwell's equations. It obeys the boundary conditions, okay? And always for a rectangular waveguide, the dominant mode will be TE10 mode. So based on this mode only, we are going to design all the microwave components where the electric field is going to be maximum at the center. The most important point to be noted in a cavity resonator is that such a resonator is going to support infinite number of resonant modes, and each mode corresponds to a definite resonant frequency. And another point is that we can provide an input signal by means of coupling to a cavity resonator, and when the frequency of the impressed signal is equal to the resonant frequency of the cavity, we are going to get a standing wave of maximum amplitude, and at the time of resonance the energy stored in the electric and magnetic field is going to be equal. Another important thing is that we'll be having many modes, but we'll be having a dominant mode. The dominant mode is a one mode which is going to have the lowest resonant frequency. We have seen that for a rectangular waveguide, this dominant mode is going to be TE10 mode, for which all the microwave components are to be designed.